Welcome back to Yehusha's Glory channel, everybody. We are studying Enoch in this video. This is the next lesson. I think we just finished lesson 3, so we're moving on to lesson 4. We're reading it word for word out of the Sefer. So this is just for, the reason I'm doing this is so you have a word for word record of what the book actually says, so that nobody can lie to you and tell you that it says something different. You're smart enough to make your own decision and your own comprehension. You're able to comprehend what the words mean. What we're going to do after this video of Enoch is finished, which is about maybe 2 or 3 more lessons. There's about 20 pages. I thought it was 9 before, but it's not. It's 20. I'm going to do a video with words and their definitions. Certain words people don't understand, because it's not a language that maybe we've used for a long time. So I've gone ahead and written out the words that I personally didn't understand, or I thought somebody else might kind of not catch the meaning of. And so I'll run through those. Maybe I'll make some flashcards and show you those words. You can refer back to that for meaning. Then as you listen to this, you'll hear words that are maybe words you're not used to hearing, like luminaries or indignation, or the word progeny. There's maledictions. There's a word that kind of got me. Anyway, all these words, they don't really make a whole lot of sense if we're not using them all the time. It's not common speech nowadays. So anyway, I'll do that video. You'll be able to get those definitions and maybe write them down for yourself. And I'm sure they're going to repeat themselves a lot through these books, because that was the style of language then when the book was written. And hopefully that'll help you understand your readings a lot better. And then you can ask Father for comprehension and knowledge and understanding. But don't take anyone's word for it. Go ahead and listen to these words as they're written. You can read along in the Sefer. It's on page, let's see, page 281. We're starting with chapter 69 in the book of Enoch. It's page 281, 69, Enoch. And here we go. Now he just finished the 3rd parable, okay? So now he's saying this. After this, the name of the son of Adam, living with Yehusha, was exalted by the inhabitants of the earth. It was exalted in the chariots of the Ruach, and the name went forth in the midst of them. From that time I was not drawn into the midst of them, but he seated me between 2 Ruachat, between the north and the west, where the angels received their ropes to measure out a place for the elect and the righteous. There I beheld the fathers of the first men, and the Kodeshayim who dwell in that place forever. Well, I'm starting to imagine Kodeshayim as the souls of the people who lived on earth and loved Father. So we'll have to verify that definition later on. So we go to 70. Afterward, my Ruach was concealed, ascending into the heavens. I beheld the sons of the holy angels treading on flaming fire, whose garments and robes were white, and whose countenances were transparent as crystal. I saw 2 rivers of fire, glittering like the hyacinth. Then I fell on my face before Yehusha, and Michael, one of the archangels, took me by my right hand, raised me up, and brought me out where was every secret mercy and secret righteousness. He showed me all the hidden things of the extremities of heaven, all the receptacles of the stars, and the splendors of all, from whence they went forth before the face of the holy. And he concealed the Ruach of Enoch in the heaven of heavens. There I beheld in the midst of that light a building raised with stones of ice, and in the midst of these stones tongues of living fire. My Ruach saw around the circle of this flaming habitation, on one of its extremities, rivers full of living fire, which encompassed it. Then the seraphim, the cherubim, the ophanim, surrounding it, these are those who never sleep, but watch the throne of his glory. And I beheld angels innumerable, thousands of thousands and myriads of myriads, who surrounded that habitation. Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Phanuel, and the holy angels who were in the heavens above went in and out of it. Michael Raphael and Gabriel went out of that habitation, and holy angels innumerable. With them was the Ancient of Days, whose head was white as wool, and pure, and his robe was indescribable. Then I fell upon my face, while all my flesh was dissolved, and my ruach became changed. I cried out with a loud voice, with a powerful ruach, blessing, glorifying, and exalting. And those blessings which proceeded from my mouth became acceptable in the presence of the Ancient of Days. The Ancient of Days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, with thousands of thousands and myriads, which could not be numbered. Then that angel came to me, and with his voice saluted me, saying, You are the son of Adam, who is born for righteousness, and righteousness has rested upon you. The righteousness of the Ancient of Days shall not forsake you. He said, On you shall he confer peace in the name of the existing world. For from thence has peace gone forth since the world was created, and thus shall it happen to you forever and ever. All who exist and who shall walk in your path of righteousness shall not forsake you forever. With you shall be their habitations, with you their lot, nor from you shall they be separated forever and ever. And thus shall length of days be with the son of Adam. Peace shall be to the righteous, and the path of integrity shall the righteous pursue, in the name of Yehusha forever and ever. The Sefer of the revolutions of the luminaries of heaven, according to their respective classes, their respective powers, their respective periods, and their respective names, the places where they commence their progress, and their respective months, which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, explained to me, he who conducted them, the whole account of them, according to every year of the world forever, until a new work shall be effected, which will be eternal. This is the first law of the luminaries. The sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven, which are on the east, and on the west of it at the western gates of heaven. I beheld the gates whence the sun goes forth, and the gates where the sun sets, in which gates also the moon rises and sets. And the conductors of the stars among those who precede them, 6 at the rising and 6 at the setting of the sun. All these respectively, one after another, are on a level, and numerous windows are on the right. They were on a level, and numerous windows are on the right and on the left sides of those gates. First proceeds forth that great luminary, which is called the sun, the orb of which is as the orb of heaven, the whole of it being replete with splendid and flaming fire. Its chariot, where it ascends, the wind blows, the sun sets in heaven, and returning by the north to proceed toward the east, is conducted so as to enter by that gate and illuminate the face of heaven. In the same manner it goes forth in the first month by the great gate. It goes forth through the fourth of those 6 gates, which are at the rising of the sun. And in the fourth gate, from which the sun rises in the first month, there are 12 open windows, from which issues out a flame. When they are opened in their proper periods. When the sun rises in heaven, it goes forth through this fourth gate 30 days, and by the fourth gate in the west of heaven, on a level with it, descends. During that period, the day is lengthened from the day, and the night curtailed from the night for 30 days. And then the day is longer by 2 parts than the night. The day is precisely 10 parts, and the night is 8. The sun goes forth through this fourth gate and sets in it, and turns to the 5th gate during 30 days, after which it proceeds from and sets in the 5th gate. Then the day becomes lengthened by a second portion, so that it is 11 parts, while the night becomes shortened and is only 7 parts. The sun now returns to the east, entering into the 6th gate, and rising and setting in the 6th gate 31 days, on account of his signs. At that period the day is longer than the night, being twice the night, and become 12 parts. But the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. Then the sun rises up, that the day may be shortened and the night lengthened. And the sun returns toward the east, entering into the 6th gate, where it rises and sets for 30 days. When that period is completed, the day becomes shortened and precisely 1 part, so that it is 11 parts, while the night is 7 parts. Then the sun goes from the west, from that 6th gate, and proceeds eastwards, rising in the 5th gate for 30 days, and setting again westwards in the 5th gate of the west. At that period, the day becomes shortened 2 parts, and is 10 parts, while the night is 8 parts. Then the sun goes down from the 5th gate, as it sets in the 5th gate of the west, and rises in the 4th gate for 31 days, on account of its signs setting in the west. At that period the day is made equal with the night, and being equal with it, the night becomes 9 parts, and the 9 parts, 9 day, and the day, 9 parts. Then the sun goes from that gate, as it sets in the west, and returns to the east, proceeds by the 3rd gate for 30 days, setting in the west at the 3rd gate. At that period, the night is lengthened from the day during 30 mornings, and the day is curtailed from the day during 30 days. The night being 10 parts precisely, and the day 8 parts. The sun now goes from the 3rd gate, as it sets in the 3rd gate in the west. But returning to the east, it proceeds by the 2nd gate of the east for 30 days. In like manner also it sets in the 2nd gate in the west of heaven. At that period the night is 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. Then the sun goes at that time from the 2nd gate, as it sets in the 2nd gate in the west, but returns to the east, proceeding by the 1st gate for 31 days, and sets in the west gate in the 1st gate. Sets in the west, rather, in the 1st gate. At that period, that night is lengthened as much again as the day. It is 12 parts precisely, while the day is 6 parts. The sun has completed its beginnings, and the 2nd time goes round from these beginnings. Into that gate it enters for 30 days and sets in the west, in the opposite part. At that period the night is contracted in its length a 4th part, that is 1 portion, and becomes 11 parts. The day is 7 parts. Then the sun returns and enters into the 2nd gate of the east. It returns by these beginnings 30 days, rising and setting. At that period, the night is contracted in its length. It becomes 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. Then the sun goes from that 2nd gate and sets in the west, but returns to the east and rises in the east in the 3rd gate, 31 days, setting in the west of the heavens, of heaven. At that period the night becomes shortened. It is 9 parts, and the night is equal with the day. The year is precisely 364 days. The lengthening of the day and night and the contraction of the day and night are made to differ from each other by the progress of the sun. By means of this progress, the day is daily lengthened and the night greatly shortened. This is the law and progress of the sun, and its turning when it turns back, turning during 60 days and going forth. This is the great everlasting luminary, that which he names the sun forever and ever. This also is that which goes forth, a great luminary, which is named after its peculiar kind, as Elohim commanded. And thus it goes in and out, neither slackening nor resting, but running on its chariot by day and by night. Its light is 7 times brighter than that of the moon, but the dimensions of both are equal. That's interesting. Now, you just heard me read the whole path of the sun according to this book of Enoch, okay? And at the very end of it, if you've been listening and paying attention, and it seems kind of dry and it's very repetitive, and I know some of you got lost and probably turned off the video by now. Now, if you've waited, you're about to hear a really interesting point. He talks about the sun and the moon. The dimensions of both are equal. He's saying the moon and the sun are just as big as each other. That's something I'd never heard before. But anyway, that's in Enoch. It's on page 283. It's right here. But the dimensions of both are equal. It's right above the 72 paragraph. So if you're here with me, God bless, our Father bless you. And that's where he says that. I don't know if you're paying attention. There it is. After this law, and that is a law, I beheld another law of an inferior luminary, the name of which is the moon. Okay, here we go with the moon. And the orb of which is as the orb of heaven. Its chariot secretly ascends. The wind blows, and light is given to it by measure. Every month at its exit and entrance, it becomes changed. And its periods are as the periods of the sun. And when the moon is full, its light is a seventh portion from the light of the sun. Thus it rises, and at its commencement towards the east goes forth for 30 days. At that time it appears and becomes to you the beginning of the month. 30 days with the sun in the gate from which the sun goes forth. Half of it is in extent 7 portions. 1. And the whole of its orb is void of light, except a 7th portion out of the 14 portions of its light. And in a day it receives a 7th portion, or half of its light. Its light is by sevens, by 1 portion, and by the half. It sets with the sun. And when the sun rises, the moon rises with it, receiving half a portion of light. On that night, when it commences its period, previously to the day of the month, the moon sets with the sun. And on that night, it is dark 14 portions, that is, half. But it rises on that day with 1/7 portion precisely, and in its progress declines from the rising of the sun. During the remainder of its period, its light increases to 14 portions. Then I saw another progress and regulation, which be effected in the law of the moon. The progress of the moons and everything Uriel showed me, the holy angel who conducted them all. Their stations I wrote down as he showed them to me. I wrote down their months as they occur, and the appearance of their light, until it is completed in 15 days. In each of its 2 7 portions, it completes all its light at rising and at setting. On stated months, it changes settings, and on stated months, it makes its progress on each. In 2, the moon sets with the sun. In those 2 gates, which are in the midst, in the 3rd and 4th gate, it goes forth for 7 days and makes its circuit. Again it returns to the gate whence the sun goes forth, and in that completes the whole of its light. Then it declines from the sun and enters in 8 days into the 6th gate, from which the sun goes forth. When the sun proceeds to the 4th gate, it goes forth for 7 days, until it passes from the 5th. Again it returns in 7 days to the 4th gate, and completing all its light, declines and passes on by the 1st gate in 8 days, and returns in 7 days to the 4th gate, from which the sun goes forth. Thus I beheld their stations, as according to the fixed order of the months, the sun rises and sets. At those times there is an excess of 30 days belonging to the sun in 5 years. All the days belonging to each year of the 5 years, when completed, amount to 364 days, and to the sun and stars belong 6 days, 6 days in each of the 5 years. 30 days belong to them, so that the moon has 30 days less than the sun and stars. The moon brings on all the years exactly, that their stations may come neither too forwards nor too backwards a single day, but that the years may be changed with correct precision in 364 days. In 3 years, the days are 1,092. In 5 years, they are 1,820. and in 8 years 2,912 days. Well, I'm going to stop for a second. If a year is 364 days, then, well, we'll have to look at that. Maybe that'll be something we'll have to study on this, on the summary of the whole lesson. That's interesting. Anyway, to the moon alone belong in 3 years 1,062 days. In 5 years, it has 50 days less, for an addition being made to the 62 days. In 5 years, there are 1,770 days. And the days of the moon in 8 years are 2,832 days. So I'll mark this area here with a pen so that I can kind of look at that later. I'll just write on the book days in a year, and I'll do a little math on that, and we'll see if it means anything to us. We'll study a little bit deeper when I do the summary, the conclusion of all this. Anyway, this is the record of what this book particularly says, word for word. So here we go. I'm going to back up one line so I can catch up where we were. And the days of the moon in 8 years are 2,832 days, for its days in 8 years are less 80 days, which 80 days are its diminution in 8 years. The year then becomes truly complete according to the station of the moon and the station of the sun, which rise in the gates, which rise and set in them for 30 days. These are the leaders of the chiefs of the thousands. Okay, now we're switching themes. That was a lot of information about days and hours and moons and suns and gates, and it's coming in and going out. Thanks for sticking with me through that. Now we're changing subjects, it looks like, here on 74, page 284, down at the bottom left, 284 in the Sefer. These are the leaders of the chiefs of the thousands, which are over all creation and over all the stars, and with the 4 which are added and never separated from the place allotted them, according to the completion or complete calculation of the year. And these serve 4 days, which are not calculated in the calculation of the year. Respecting them, men greatly err, for their luminaries truly serve in the dwelling place of the world, 1 day in the first gate, 1 in the third gate, 1 in the fourth gate, 1 in the sixth gate, and the harmony of the world becomes complete every 364th state of it. For the signs, the seasons, the years, and the days, Uriel showed me, the angel whom Yahuwah of glory appointed over all the luminaries of heaven, and in the world, that they might rule in the face of the sky, and appearing over the earth become conductors of the days and nights, the sun, the moon, the stars, and all the ministers of heaven, which make their circuit with all the chariots of heaven. Thus Uriel showed me 12 gates open for the circuit of the chariots of the sun in heaven, from which the rays of the sun shoot forth. From these proceed heat over the earth, when they are opened in their stated seasons. They are for the winds and the ruach of the dew. When in their seasons they are opened in heaven at extremities. 12 gates I beheld in heaven, at the extremities of the earth, through which the sun, moon, and stars, and all the works of heaven proceed at their rising and setting. Many windows also are open on the right and on the left. One window at a season grows extremely hot, so also are there gates from which the stars go forth as they are commanded, and in which they set according to their number. I saw likewise the chariots of heavens, running in the world above to those gates in which the stars turn, which never set. One of these is greater than all, which goes around the whole world. And at the extremities of the earth I beheld 12 gates open for all the winds, from which they proceed and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open in the front of heaven, 3 in the west, 3 on the right side of heaven, and 3 on the left. The first 3 are those which are towards the east. These are toward the north. 3 are toward the north, 3 behind those which are upon the left, towards the south rather, and 3 on the west. From 4 of them proceed winds of blessing and of health, and from 8 proceed winds of punishment, when they are sent to destroy the earth and the heaven above it, all its inhabitants, and all which are in the waters, or on dry land. The first of these winds proceeds from the gate termed the eastern, through the first gate on the east, which inclines southwards. From this goeth forth destruction, drought, heat, and perdition. From the second gate, the middle one, proceeds equity. There issue from it rain, fruitfulness, health, and dew. And from the third gate northward proceeds cold and drought. After these proceed the south winds through 3 principal gates. Through the first gate, which inclines eastward, proceeds a hot wind. But from the middle gate proceed grateful odor, dew, rain, health, and life. From the third gate, which is westwards, proceeds dew, rain, blight, and destruction. Now after there are the winds to the north, which is called the sea, from 3 gates. The 7th gate is on the east, inclining southward. From this proceeds dew, rain, blight, and destruction. From the middle direct gate proceeds rain, dew, life, and health. And from the third gate, which is westwards, inclining toward the south, proceed mist, frost, snow, rain, dew, and blight. After these 4 are the winds to the west. From the first gate, inclining northwards, proceed dew, rain, frost, cold, snow, and chill. From the middle gate proceed rain, health, and blessing. And from the last gate, which is southwards, proceed drought, destruction, scorching, and perdition. The account of the 12 gates of the 4 quarters of heaven is ended. All their laws, all their punishment, and the health of them have I explained to you, my son Methuselah. Okay, so Methuselah is being schooled here. Okay, so we know that now. It goes on and on more about the wind. We're going to pick that up in a minute. I'm going to shut the video down right now. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to start the next lesson here in a moment. Again, we're doing an actual reading of every word so that you have a record of it. Because when we go to do the summary of what's happening here, what the book of Enoch says, when we do a summary of any book, you need to have a record of everything that is written. It's not good enough for me to go through and read the whole thing and take out the good bits and pieces and say, oh, you know, this is exciting. I want to sell you this idea. This is great. And then twist the words to mean something for myself. That's not what we do. We read every single word so you have a chance to comprehend it on your own with Father's blessing. And then we will try to do as clear of a summary as we can that shortens the whole thing so that you can get the gist of it. Then you can go back and listen to the reading. And the more and more you listen to it, the more it'll make sense to you. After this video, I'm going to be actually doing, after this Enoch study, I've got a book that I want to read to you called Sargon the Magnificent. Really great book. I've read it like probably 3, 4, or 5 times. And I had to read it really slowly out loud to myself to capture and grasp the ideas in it. I think it's a fantastic book. I was going to do Jasher after this one because it looks like an exciting book. But I'm going to break away from the Sefer, I think. I think I've decided I'm going to go ahead and do the Sargon the Magnificent book. It's a study. So I'm excited about that. We do have some more time to go through here, though. Join me next time for the next lesson. And we'll be reading lesson, I think, 5 in Enoch in the Sefer. If you have any problems in your family and your family's not getting along and you feel like you're having trouble, it could be evil spirits messing with you. Ask Father to shine a light in your home in Yehusha's name at all times. Always utter the name Yehusha. Every blessing comes because we ask in His name. We can't ask Father directly. We must go through Yehusha. Always remember that. And if there's turmoil in your home and there are troubles, remember, it could be evil spirits trying to aggravate your family. You can cast the evil spirits out by simply telling them to go back to where they came from, and you order them. You say, I order you in the name of Yehusha, you evil spirits, to go back to where you came from, leave my property and leave my family alone. And then you thank Yehusha and thank Yahuwah for giving you the authority to cast those evil spirits out in his name. Must be in his name, though. You don't have any power. Only Yehusha has power. They have to flee at the name of Yehusha. That's the rule. Do that and it'll work. If you look for the video that has the picture of the evil rake on the front, it goes through more of that. I think you'll gain a lot from that. It's a specific video, just a quick one, a 6-minute video, I think, just to let you know exactly, if you forget, how to say those words and let Yehusha care for your family. Father bless you and protect you and give you wisdom and guidance and make your family more loving to itself. And I offer you guys peace in the name of beautiful Yehusha. Goodbye. See you next time.